Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Welcome to the Science and Magic channel. My name's Amanda, if I haven't met you, and this is my mentor,
Hello,
my
everyone.
coach,
Welcome
Mina.
in.
Is that
Welcome to
coming
the
from
Science
mine?
and Magic channel.
Not
My name's
sure.
Amanda, if I
Is it?
haven't met you, and this is my mentor,
Is that coming from mine?
coach, Mina.
Welcome in.
Is that
Welcome
coming
to the
from
Science
mine?
and Magic
I
channel.
think so, because I don't have anything on.
You, and this is my mentor,
Is that coming from mine?
coach, Mina.
This is hilarious.
I think so.
Okay, well, welcome everybody. Say hi in the chat as you're tuning in. Oh, yep, it is there. It's off. Okay, well.
Okay, perfect.
Woohoo! We got lots of energy. So, again, my name's Amanda. This is Mina. Say hi where you're tuning in from. If you're a projector, if you're a mother, if you're a wife, you are so welcome here. I'm going to talk for a few moments while you all hop on and then give the amazing Mina a moment to chat as well. So if you don't know Mina, you're in for a treat. She is a world-renowned teacher, course creator, author, life coach, and many of you have actually found me through her channel. And you have mentioned that she has changed your life. Well, she's changed my life too. And I'm so honored to have her here. And Mina, really the whole reason I have my YouTube channel is because I purchased your CEO Boss Queen program 2 years ago. And in that program, you insisted, I remember you insisted is what you said, that I start sharing my work on YouTube. And now here I am. You believed in me and, really aside from helping me work through the resistance and blocks of being seen in my energy, you've been a living example of not only how to run your business, but how to be a wife and a mother. And it's so mysterious because I found you right away by Google searching information about human design projector. I signed up to work with you because of business coaching. And now, 2 years later, I'm talking to you about your experience as a devoted wife and mother. So life is an incredible full circle. This year, I've stepped into these new identities and I found so much value in what you share. It's really grounded me and helped to orient me to this new life that I'm living. So, Mina, you're the big sister I've never had. And if you feel that, say it in the chat too. If Mina feels like the big sister you've never had. I'm going to ask questions today from my perspective as a brand new wife and mother, from this viewpoint, as if like you were my older sister and we're sitting down, cozy, having tea. And I'm just asking you things from my heart. So thank you for being here. And do you want to say anything about yourself and your work before you start? Anything about your background, maybe for those who don't know you?
Um, I don't know if I want to say anything about my background, but what I would say is that just like everyone here, I'm a woman that had a lot of desires in her heart. Like I wanted to be seen and heard for who I am in all of my capacities, like whether it's my creativity or myself as a mother or as a wife, as a friend, as a human being. And so I have very much been on this journey myself, and then I just accidentally started sharing that journey. So yes, I've got like the professional background and all of that, but I think it's not important. It's not as important as like my actual journey and just showing up and sharing that journey. And I also want to add that seeing you just blossom and radiate and just grow into this next level of womanhood, wifehood, mamta energy in the
Mm.
last 2 years. Like I want to just cry. Like it has been just one of the most like beautiful, beautiful experiences of my life. Just seeing you, like it's. I feel like you're my daughter, and I just saw you come into being your full grown self, and it just I hope I'm alive and get to see that for Alina as well. But it brings me so much joy to see women just stepping into that next level, and you continue to just make me proud and amaze me with how quickly you're able to step in, normalize, and just share all of your vulnerable being. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. I mean, you can look at old videos of me and you, I feel like 2 years ago, and the energy and the embodiment and like the nonverbal presence is different. And so if anyone's curious, you can look back and see that. It's really, really wild. Um, I do want to mention that Mina has some incredible books. The first one is called Contained in Love, and I recently purchased it and read it. I gobbled it up. So I'm going to add that in the description. It should already be there, and as well as in the comments. And she also has a new book called Lady Balls. So check that out. She has countless courses, all these things. But yes, we're going to come into more of a cozy conversation. I want to give a special shout out to my own mother and grandmother, both of whom are tuning into this conversation. I didn't even consciously do this, but I rebranded my name to Amanda Helen this week. And Helen is the name of my grandmother. It's my maternal lineage. So it's really interesting. We're doing this live stream today because I rebranded this week. And Helen means sun ray and shining light. So hello, grandma. Hello, mother. Enough of me talking now. Mina, advice time. So, as a new mother, much of what I've seen in society are examples of depleted, overwhelmed moms. Like, I just see so many examples of that. And I haven't really seen many examples of mothers who are able to live in overflow. And I consciously used words like juicy and luscious in the title of this video because they signify overflow. They signify hydration, like life energy. Like think of a juicy fruit. Actually, there's fruit emojis in this title. So I look at you and I see so much vitality, and you literally seem to grow younger every year. This is something I aspire to grow in vitality with every day that passes. So before we get into the action of how you do this, I'm curious about your beliefs. Like, what beliefs about motherhood and being a woman do you hold that create this glow that you have? Like, tell us your secrets, please.
Okay, so I'm just going to confirm that growing up, that's all I saw too.
Yeah.
I saw I saw my own mother who was an immigrant, to the US as well as my father. She was just very depleted. Like underneath all of that, she was a fun, vibrant person, but like I never saw her sleep for more than 4 hours a night. She used to work double shifts for most of my life. And she was overweight, burnt out. She never had time to go to the doctor. I mean, and like at 49, cancer just ate her alive. Like she didn't even make it to her 50th birthday. So growing up, all I wanted, like as a child, my biggest desire was to see my mom laughing, or like those rare moments where I would see my mom sitting on the couch and like it didn't seem like she had anywhere to be. Like her energy was very present. Like as a child when your parents are rushed, and especially with your mom, because you're attuned to her like from the womb. So like it was very rare. I mean, I can like tell you like those three moments in my entire life when I saw that. Like I remember them. Like I can tell you the color of the couch, like what time of day it was. That's how rare of an occurrence it was. When I became older, my mom didn't really have time for me. So I just saw my mom coming and going up until 16. When I was 16, all of a sudden, I think it hit my mom that she had missed my entire childhood. And she had like this 3 day like mental breakdown where she just cried. Like we could just hear her crying for 3 days nonstop. She would like fall asleep, wake up crying, and like for 3 days, like she wouldn't eat anything. And I think she was grieving the fact that she missed my childhood. And
Mm.
so at 16, she like reconnected with me. So I had this relationship with my mom from 16 to I was going to turn 30 the year that she passed away. So I had those like, whatever, 14 years with her. And I had a wonderful friendship with her at that point. The only times that we fought, and this is the key part, this is the part that changed my life. Every single argument that I had with my mother from the age of 16 to until she died was about her not taking care of herself. It would be me screaming at her because she was letting herself be manipulated, abused, not going to the doctor, not taking care of herself. So all of this played out in my life. So then when I became a mother, and I became a mother young, I was 23 when I had my oldest son, who's 19 now. So like I was very young. And I was clueless. I didn't get those early formative like mother energy years with my mom. And then all I saw was her depleted self. So I stepped into that role myself, like self-sacrificing, like working a lot, like and like being very unhappy And then my son was very unhappy. He was a very unhappy child. He cried a lot. He had behavioral issues, speech issues. Like he had so many issues like when he under 4. At around 18 months is when I had that like awareness. I was like, "Oh my God. All I wanted from my own mother was her happiness."
Mm.
And that like have I ever even given that to my own son? And of course, at this point, my marriage had just ended. I was a full-time student at Northwestern University, and I had a running a successful business. So I was very busy. So I got the awareness at about 18 months, but I couldn't really like give that to him until I got remarried to my now husband Irfan. So when I got remarried, I finally had space for the first time in my life to be the type of mother that my son deserved. And
Mm.
so I reverse engineered it. I said, what would have made me the happiest child alive? Like what would have made me feel safe, secure, happy, vibrant? And everything kept coming down to if my mom was happy, if my mom got to have rest, if she got to have health, if she was calm, if I ever saw her like just laughing and she didn't have anywhere to go, she didn't have anywhere to be, if I had that, I would have had a wonderful childhood. Like you would think I would have asked for money. Like we were on welfare for a lot of my childhood. Like there was a lot of stuff, right? But when I really came down to it, I just wanted my mom to be happy.
Mm.
So I decided that if I wanted to give my son the best childhood, I had to prioritize my happiness. He deserved to have a happy mother. No one in my lineage had that. My grandmother was a very unhappy person, she was stressed, rightfully so. They were poor, you know. Like I'm not blaming anyone. They did the best they could with the level of consciousness and resources they had. But, I was now married to a wonderful man who was able to provide and give me the safety. And so I started deeply doing inner work and immersing in giving my son, and then later my next son and my child, I have 3 kids now, um, giving them the experience of a happy mother, a well-balanced, calm. And yeah, they see all of my emotions, so it's not about spiritually bypassing, like, but they also, like, if they see me having a bad day, they also see me fixing it. If they see me having a disagreement with my husband, they also see me fixing it and like making up with him. So giving them the full experience of what a happy, vibrant life looks like.
I hear that you're saying the belief is that in order to be the best mother, the most present mother that I can be, I must take care of myself. That's a correlation. And so often I hear that motherhood is associated with the sacrifice of self and the sacrifice of taking care of yourself. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, I've been a mother now for 6 months, and the way that time is distributed is completely different than when I wasn't a mother. But I'm really challenging myself to hold this belief that I can stay luscious and juicy and in overflow and in vibrancy while I have my baby and for my baby. And it's such a flip in consciousness. What are some things that you've learned over the years that you can do that are tangible? So if mothers are tuning into this and they're like, but how? Like, in what time? In what space am I able to pour into myself? What are ways that you've been able to do that? Little slivers that you've worked in?
So the first thing I would say, Amanda, to even go beyond that question is that we know that time is a reflection of the energy that we're channeling. So I've been through the newborn stage 3 times now, right? And let me tell you that as my consciousness evolved, time moved differently for all 3 of those pregnancies. And you could say, well, you were older, and you can put a lot of constrictions on it. However, my younger 2 kids were both born, to the same dad in the same situation, in the sense that I was being fully provided for. And even between those 2 pregnancies, time moved very differently because my consciousness was different. So it's not that the time is limited, is that our consciousness is channeled through us in a way where that time perception is distorted. And, yes, that when my first son was born, I was working full time, a full-time student, going through a divorce. All of those things are true, but I also had a lot more help than I had with the younger two kids. I had my parents, I had my siblings, I had access to nannies. Like I wasn't, I didn't have financial constraints. I had help around me. I even had friends chipping in. Like I had a lot of help, and yet I was always tired, always rushing. I was playing out the story that I believed.
Yeah.
And it was totally distorting my experience of a motherhood because I believed that motherhood was hard because that's what I was told. I felt like a burden to my parents when I was a child. So I started treating my son that way without intending to. Like that was not my intention, but that's how the entire thing started playing out. So I think that we are being told and sold a narrative of how hard motherhood is, how it's supposed to hurt, it's supposed to be suffering. And without realizing it, we plug into those grids and that becomes our story.
Mm.
The truth is, babies sleep a lot. In fact, when Alina was born, like Irfan and I would just stand there staring at her. And we had two other kids at that time and be like, when is she gonna wake up? Like we would like purposely make noise. So like we wanted her to wake up so we could play with her, like she's sleeping too much. So, but my perception of that exact scenario was very different when my oldest was born. So I think when our container can hold lusciousness of motherhood. When we
Mm.
believe that motherhood is supposed to be the supported, divine, amazing, calm experience, we experience more of that. So that's the first thing. And I'm not saying that there aren't tough situations. Like going through the emotional hardship of the divorce and all of that stuff was definitely emotionally draining. I had a lot of drama with my ex. Like there was a lot of real stuff, right? However, when I look back with the level of consciousness I have, I can clearly see when I was making the situation worse, where I was over dramatizing stuff, where I had time but chose not to spend it with my son. Like there were a lot of things that were happening that were actually coming through my consciousness and my story than my actual reality. So my best tip is that work in the roots first. And before you start time management, before you start hiring help, like before you start changing anything in the physical reality, go in the metaphysical first and say, well, actually, what are my beliefs about motherhood? Like, do I actually really believe that motherhood is supposed to be this amazing divine experience? When I started doing this inner work, what came up was I actually believe women that are arrested, mothers that are arrested are selfish, moms that are well dressed and like have their sexual energy are bad moms. Like, so all this stuff came, I'm like, I want this, but really, am I going to allow it if I have these beliefs? So I had to go and work through those deep core beliefs first. And then you realize, oh, now time management becomes easy. Now setting habits becomes easy. And the thing with habits and like time management and stuff is by the time you get a hang of it, the child changes again and he's in a different phase, and then you're changing it again. You're changing it again. So don't get too attached to any schedule because they grow really fast. Like I can't believe I have a 19-year-old who's traveling the world now. And it wasn't a blink of an eye. And every year he was a completely different human being. It was like parenting a completely different person. And then same thing with my younger two. So I say work in the metaphysical first, and then the physical becomes a lot easier.
Beautiful advice. So cultivate the belief that to be a mother can be a luscious, overflowing present experience. And what I've noticed, and as I've been a mother myself and learning about how babies develop, is that our nervous systems are so in attunement. And when I'm relaxed and soft, my baby responds accordingly. And we have these sweet moments. So I used to have this morning ritual. This might be an example of I'd wake up in the morning and I would light incense. I'd put on a soundscape. I would journal for like an hour. Like this was my thing, just by myself early in the morning. And now I wake up when my baby wakes up, which is pretty early. But what we do is I pull him into the bed and we have skin to skin and we snuggle for like at least a half an hour. And that's my meditation. I'm present in that. Like, and we're connected. And there's something about being a mother that's asked me to be more present in my life than I've ever been. Like sometimes I'll have him on the floor and I'm like putting my makeup on and he'll crawl up and try to, claw at my leg. He wants to be lifted up. I'm like, hi, I'm here. And I keep saying I'm here. So it is a nervous system experience. And it does ask for the practice of presence, which is such a gift. But if I missed those moments and was started to swirl around, then he's going to be upset and start to fuss and start to also get agitated and upset. So it's almost like, especially in the early months of motherhood, he's kind of my barometer for how my nervous system is because we're so connected. And I wasn't expecting that being a new mom, like how connected we are and how connected our nervous systems are. So yeah, we do this for our babies. That's the best way to put it, is like we pour into ourselves, we water our garden, we exist in overflow for our children because they are connected to us and they feel that. And we do the best we can and we uproot our beliefs. That's what I'm hearing from you. It's such good advice, Mina. I've been waiting to ask you this, but I was like, I'm going to ask her publicly because it's been such a transition for me. So thank you. There's actually a quote that I found from someone that I follow on Instagram, Nina Lombardo of the Way of Devotion. And it's about sacrifice. And I thought it was really, really interesting. So I want to share it and then just see how it lands with you. So the maiden has yet to be initiated into the alchemical power of sacrifice. She believes she can have it all, the cake and then some. Yet there is a naivety in her belief, a sweetness and innocence that is precious. But it is not where the journey ends. The mother knows, the priestess knows, the queen knows, sacrifice. She knows what it is to offer her whole self to her child, to the mystery and to her beloved, for no other reason than because love, capital L, demands it. Have you ever stood beside a mother, a priestess, and a queen and felt her trembling power? It is because she repeatedly throws herself into the unknown, and in doing so has become one with love, capital L. So have you ever stood beside a mother, priestess, queen, and felt her trembling power? And there is a difference that I've noticed from the maiden to the mother, and there is a power in that. And I think the sacrifice they're speaking about isn't so much these small depleting sacrifices, but there is something about offering yourself to a greater whole, a child, a family. So I'm curious, what do you think about this concept of sacrifice and motherhood?
So the way I think the sacrifice comes before the motherhood. And
Mm,
so which is something we've lost in the Western world. And so in the Eastern world, it is considered selfish to marry for love, and yet that person is not able to provide and protect.
mm,
Because we believe that you should marry someone that you can grow in love with. So my grandmother used to say that it doesn't matter if you were in love when you married your partner, it matters if you died in love. Like were you in love when both of you died? And so this concept comes from the belief that, like, for example, even with my mom wanted to marry someone. She loved someone in her village. My mom was from a very poor family, and obviously everyone in her village would be poor. And so if she married that person who she loved, her life would be doomed in this village with poverty,
mm,
right? So she chose to marry someone that could get her out of the country and give her a better life. And yes, her life was hard here, and that was her sacrifice. But then she now had me and my siblings, children that were the firstborn in the United States, and I'm the firstborn on both sides of my family to be a multimillionaire, to be an author, to be all these things. So in my culture, and I believe this is necessity, the sacrifice comes in the choosing of the partner. So you
mm.
are a good mother depending on the partner that you chose. And I made that mistake the first time around, so I can really attest to this, and my background is in you get, you know, in evolution and anthropology, and so that's the key part. If you want to be a good mother, you might have to sacrifice, you know, that puppy love or that chemistry early on and marry someone that you can grow in love with, who
Mm.
is going to take care of you and allow you to be a good mother. Because the containment, as you know, from the masculine, from the father, is the essential part to us being a good mother. So, me choosing rightfully, you know, not being swayed by chemistry the second time around and all of that stuff, and saying, no, who is going to be a king husband and a king father, was me being a good mother. And the attunement that you talk about, which you have with your son, which is it's just such a lovely part of motherhood. I didn't get to have that with my oldest until he was 4 when I married my husband. And his entire life changed. He was diagnosed with speech impairments, behavioral issues. They were throwing words like autism around, ADHD, all of the stuff around. All of those diagnoses went away when
Wow.
I calmed my nervous system down
Yeah.
and I pair bonded with him, which I didn't get a chance to do, unfortunately, in the beginning. Like, and like you said, it's like having like a barometer outside of your body that you can see. And so that I learned that he's just reflecting back to me everything that's going on inside of me. And with the younger two, I was able to have that experience from day one. So we became we become good mothers with the partners that we choose. And so the sacrifice might be letting the guy that you know is not going to give you that calm and that peace to be able to raise the children the way that you want to and be there for them. That might be the sacrifice, but you need to make that. You need to choose wisely.
This narrative is so not often offered in Western culture, I feel like. It's all about falling in love first. So it's such an interesting perspective. And thank you so much for sharing it, that the sacrifice comes before you set up the container, and then you have the proper container for your nervous system and your child's nervous system to be held. And that's like your book, Contained in Love. You set up a container of love. And that decision, from what I've heard in your videos, comes from the mental plane and not necessarily from emotions. Like, you stay in your head, you make a rational decision, and then you make that decision to grow in love.
Absolutely. Women we tend to be more emotional beings. We know the feminine is more in touch with the emotions. And because of that, we need to choose our partner logically and emotionally. And if you look at other species, you know, the females choose very rationally. You know, even the birds, they look at the nest, they look at how many bugs can you catch for me, right? So females of all species do not choose partners based on emotions. They choose based on logic and rational thinking. Males, who generally are more rational and logical, choose partners based on emotions. It's this beautiful reciprocal relationship that we have. And I love this. I just love the way God created us to be these beautiful partners and reciprocals. When fall in love, they have this emotional gut level reaction to us. It might be our beauty combined with our brains, combined with the way that we move. It might be something that they can't quite put their finger on, but it's just something. It might be a smell, it might be a knowing, a longing, a desire. And so they fall in love and grow in love through their emotional body. And we actually first choose, and you talked about attunement to the baby's nervous system, but we receive that safety cues from our partner. And to
Mm,
this day, you know, if my husband's nervous, I'll ask him, should I be nervous? But
yeah.
if he like if I can bring the biggest problem to him. And if I tell him, oh my God, you're not gonna believe this, and he's like, oh no, that's not a problem. I'm like, oh, okay. Ah. So it is this beautiful, like he contains my nervous system and gives me the cues whether I should worry or not if everything's under control in the outside plane. And then my children view those cues based on me. And this is so clear in my oldest one. You know, since he's been a very curious child since he was like 7 or 8 years old, he started doing this thing, Armand, my oldest one, and I think you know him. He would say, "Oh, mom, I heard this. What do you think about that?" To this day, he's 19, he's traveling the world. I get text messages, "Mom, look, watch this video and tell me what you think about it." What he's trying to do is he's trying to filter the messages that he receives from the world, even though he's not physically with me right now because he's traveling. He filters anything new he hears at all, any new experiences, any new videos, any new ideas. He filters it through me still. And then
Mhm.
he tries to make sense of it. He says, "Well, that's interesting. I wouldn't have thought about it that way. Okay, that makes sense." Or "That's interesting, but like I was thinking this." So I don't think that ever goes away, the
Oh,
attunement.
I love hearing stories of the mother-son relationship as the son grows older because now I have a little baby boy and I just think of that. It's so sweet. And he's already changing every month. So what a journey to like watch. I want to talk about being a wife. On your Instagram, it's your first descriptor. So you have you're a wife first, and then you're a mother second. You have author third, YouTuber, and it continues on. But what does it mean to you to be a wife? Like, describe this importance. Like, how would you describe the role of a wife?
So, Amanda, the religion that I was born into, and I accept all religions, and I'm a very spiritual person. But the religion that I was born into says, and which is Islam, by the way, it says that marriage is half the religion. And as a child, I didn't really understand this, right? It was like, why would God say that getting married is half, like basically what it says is that if you got married, you have completed half the religion. And that the other half is the devotion and surrender and the faith and all the other stuff. But half. So that's a lot, right? So I grew up just being very curious about this. Of like, why would God say that this is half of it, right? Why would God not say believing in me is half the religion or surrendering? Like God's not even in it. But I realize now it's because God is so deeply embedded in marriage, in union. And I truly believe that God loves us so much and wanted to be around us so much that he, she incarnated as mothers and fathers and husbands and wives to be with us in all the ways. And what I've also learned scientifically, to add the scientific element, is that the biggest sign of someone's emotional and physical health is actually pair bonding, their ability to pair bond in relationships. So a person is not truly healed and whole from even from trauma or anything. They are not considered healed and whole until they can go back to their God-given natural scientific ability to pair bond. So growing up, as I studied religion and then science and evolution and philosophy and all the things, I'm like, oh my God, that's why it was half of it. Because you're not even healthy enough. You're not well. It's not, you don't even have the kind of the certification. Like, here you go. Like, here's your sign of health until you can have that ability. And you can't even fully do that with your children until you can receive that in a loving partnership who
Mhm.
is now containing you and giving that. So the other part of me being a good mother, which I believe is a criteria, my criteria of being a good mother. First, obviously you choose wisely. And secondly, you become the role model of the feminine energy in the relationship. Because when I really thought about it, my children, they look up to their teachers. They have had coaches in school that they looked up to. My oldest one went through this whole year of like a therapeutic church-based program as part of his therapy, and he still talks to those mentors and looks up to them as kind of his male role models, right? And I realize they can get a lot of mentorship and learning from a lot of various people, and thank God. However, the only training that they will ever get, firsthand training of how two people are supposed to relate to each other in the container of marriage. They're not going home with their teachers to see them with their spouses. They're not going home with their mentors. They can't, like, you cannot see it anywhere than at home. It's the only place. So I realized that if I want to be a really great mother, I have to prioritize my marriage. I have to, because they're never going to have this kind of a in-house live-in training center for how to relate to another human being, how to have communication, how to overcome disagreements, how to set containers, like all of it. Like they're never going to be able to move in with another person and observe them in this way ever again for like however many years, right, that they live with you. So I decided to be that role model. And they've seen us mess up and fix it. And they've seen us like they see the whole picture of it. And my kids tell me all the time that they are excited about getting married and having what daddy and I have, like what you and daddy have. Like, so that's what I wanted to give them. And I feel like that's my biggest claim to fame and claim to success. Like that's my biggest winning in life is that my children know what a healthy relationship is supposed to look like. And then of course you can, it's a template, you can modify it, you can do whatever you want. In fact, I have conversations with my oldest, like if he thinks he would do anything differently than how daddy and I have done it, and he says that he can't think of anything. He
Wow.
says this is his template.
That's so beautiful. Good for you, Mina. And there's so many people who are looking to you even from outside of your nuclear family and what you share. It's so inspiring and it makes me feel even more proud to be a wife and to be a mother because of this representation of divinity in that. And I hear you say with being a wife, it is a representation of the divine feminine, and a lot of your work lies in polarity. So how does that show up? How does the divine feminine expressed in your household through your body?
So my children, my husband, like we all agree that I am the feminine role, right? Like I am the feminine essence being in the relationship, but they also know that I have a very strong, cultivated masculine energy side, which I love, and I'm that's not going anywhere because I actually love it. And my husband loves it too. Like that's what attracted him is that I have that range. And that my husband is the masculine essence being who also has a very fatherly, or I'm sorry, a very feminine essence too that he leans on. In fact, a lot of Mamta energy, which is like mother energy, and it's the name for mother energy in my culture, I actually learned from my husband, believe it or not, because he has a very strong mothering essence as well within him, being a conscious man. So they see me with my partner interacting in a very feminine, polarized way, but they also get to see me in my moments of alpha, in my business. So they see the polarity exist within me and how I am fluid with that, how I go back and forth. And then they see that, when I'm in the presence of my partner, I drop the alpha and I just bring forth the divine feminine and how he's able to contain that. So I think they see it every day in my embodiment, in the fact that I'm very much in touch with my emotions, my feelings, how I bring that. So does that answer your question? That yeah, in everyday life, I think it's very much embedded, but they also know that mommy has that alpha side, and they are encouraged to bring both of those energies as well.
Okay, this alpha side, like when I first met you, I feel like it was a little bit tucked under, like tucked in the closet a little bit, because there was a period of time that you went on a family trip. I don't know, it was like a year ago, maybe 5,000 lifetimes ago. But you came back and you were different. And I remember asking you, like, what happened on that trip? Because this ferocious alpha energy came out, and it's almost like your throat energy center opened. And you found a whole new energetic field. And I asked you about this, and you said, I was in another room by myself, and I sensed all of this energy around me. And I just started laughing to myself because I always thought, like, I always felt the lack of energy, but really there's energy all around us at all times. And so I want to talk about this because, especially for the human design projectors who are tuning in, who have beliefs that there's no energy, for the depleted mothers who are tuning in, for feminine essence beings who might feel like, what, I just have to surrender and wait. Like, what did you tap into? Because it's some sort of power. And how would you guide others to tune into it for themselves?
This is such a great question, and I'm having chills right now that you're asking because I just had a huge another layer of that unlocked recently in my life. Like another, you know how I always say inner work happens in layers, and it was another layer that just unlocked. So, I'm gonna go back a little bit and then I'll bring it up. But growing up, my mom used to emasculate my father a lot, and she was totally in her masculine energy, and she used to emasculate him. And my dad's coping mechanism of that was to like act sick all the time and just like he would just complain all the time about headaches and he had anxiety and all this stuff. So conversations between them were often about like he would say, "Oh, I got up today and like brushed my teeth, but I'm so exhausted now." And then like my mom would have like worked 2 12-hour shifts, and like t that 1 hour she had in the middle, like she would have gone and done the groceries. Like that was her. And she was the
Wow.
2 hour, the 12-hour shifts where she was an RN, like a nurse. So like standing on her feet, heavy lifting heavy patients, like so. And so I used to watch this, right? But it like never kind of clicked for me. So when I was older and doing all of this stuff as a single mom in my previous life, and then had this huge burnout moment and was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, and then went through my healing journey, there was this always this feeling of like energy is limited. Like I'm always tired. Like I would have these bursts of energies and I would just try to do stuff, and then there was like this crash. The crash might happen 3 days later. Like I could work for 3 days and then crash, or like work and then crash. But there was always this dooming like crash of energy, which created this like there's never enough energy. And then when I learned about human design, like I just cried because it was like, oh my God, like it was like this explanation of why my experience was like that. But then that became an excuse for a while. Like I needed that explanation, but then I went through a process of like limiting myself even more. That moment where you recognized that something was different in me and then you questioned me about it, and I told you about that, was this moment of just realizing that energy is never limited. Our ability to receive it is either activated or not. So energy is always all around. It's here now, right? So through my beliefs and then my thoughts in relation to those beliefs, like for example, if I told you, "Oh my God, Amanda, you're not gonna believe how much I have to do today. I have to fold the laundry and then I have to go down. And before I go to the laundry, I do have to take out the dishwasher, like take the dishes out. And then I have to cook something. And then I'm gonna have to like open the door and let the dog out." Like it, notice that even the way that I'm telling you about it, I'm like literally leaking energy
Yes.
as I'm telling you,
Yes.
right? It's coming encoded with a certain belief that life is hard. But if you really think of it, like imagine someone like my mother who works like 2 shifts to like make ends meet, and like and like really hard shifts in the snow, and then drives home and does the groceries because her kids are hungry, and then she has to come home. Like if she hears me saying that, she's gonna say, "Oh my God, I wish that's what I had to do." Right? But I could tell you the same thing. I could say, "Amanda, I used to work 12-hour shifts, and you're not gonna believe it. Now all I have to do is empty out the dishwasher, cook something for my family, and like throw some like clothes in the dish, like laundry machine. Like, can you believe my life?" Like
Yeah.
it's the same stuff, but it's in the second part, I'm taking energy from the field and I'm using it to feel like it's the same actions, but my beliefs are informing how much energy I should take from the field. So in that moment, I had this huge awakening of like, I'm literally swimming in energy. The quantum field is all around me. And so I don't really have those moments now because if I do, I'm like, oh my God, I've somehow closed myself off. Get more energy, take more energy, start thinking differently, start, activating different beliefs. And my whole demeanor, like I fully control how tired or not tired I am now.
Yes. I need this
That was
message.
it.
I need, I need this message as a new mother. I do because I have an infant who wakes up often throughout the night, But that's that's a reality. And there's an unlimited field of energy that's all around me that's available. How do I open myself up to receive that energy? So beautiful. Thank you, Mina.
Can I speak to that actually a little bit? Because
Yeah.
I have experience of this. So growing up, my childhood was very chaotic. We moved a lot. We had like 30, I had 30 addresses by the time I was like 13. We were homeless for a stretch of time. And when we had apartments, they were usually like, studio apartments or one bedroom with like 8 or 9 people in them. So not the best living situations. So I never slept as a child. There was always a lot of noise, music playing, buildings that were noisy, people coming out in and out. So I never got to sleep. And when I got to the point where I was in high school, my teachers started noticing, and they would, for the first time, I started having teachers that cared. And they would say, you just, you're such a bright child and we love your energy, but you're tired. Like, what's your situation? And like, and one counselor had called my mom in the school to say that why is she not getting any sleep? So I never had sleep. And then when I first moved out and had my own life, that marriage failed and I became a single mom. So then I'm like working a full job at my business, a student at Northwestern, and Armand did not sleep through the night until he was 5. So he would wake up 6 or 7 times through the night. So I I didn't start sleeping through the night until my second son was born and he was 2 months old. My second one, it was just a gift because he just came and then 2 months old, started sleeping through the night. And the first night that ever I slept for 8 hours, I was like, oh my God, the colors look more vibrant. Like I felt like a new person. I told my husband, I was like, oh my God, is that what it feels like to get 8 hours of sleep? So I was 30 for the first time when I slept 8 hours in a row for the first time in my life. Okay, when Ayan was 3, 3.5, I had Alina. Alina didn't sleep through the night until she was 5. So I had to go through that entire cycle again
Oh,
of never. But here's what was different. When Armand didn't sleep through the night, it triggered all of those feelings from before of like never being able to sleep. And the story was like, oh my God, he's so annoying. Like, why can't he sleep through the night? Why did God create me in this awful situation why can't I ever get sleep? Like the story that I was telling me always made me so tired and miserable, like exhausted, right? By the time Alina was born, my story was, even though I had now experienced little bursts of like what it felt like to sleep, but my story was, oh my God, they grow up so fast and I want to spend every moment with her. So when she would wake up, I would wake up, and Irfan had the opportunity to sleep. He was working a 9 to 5 job, like going to the office at that time, but he would say that he's jealous and he would wake up too. And I would say, go back to sleep. Like, you need to sleep. And he's like, no, well, you're getting to spend all this time with her and I'm jealous and I want to spend time. So he would stay up a lot of times. And he would even say, why don't you sleep? And I'm like, no, then I'm going to be jealous. I want to spend time with her. The thing was that because my mindset with Alina was like, I'm going to try to spend every minute with her because this is going to go up so fast. I wasn't tired. And I've shared this with so many of my students since then. And they're always shocked. They're like, that was it. I'm like, yes. Remember with Alina, I was older and I had 2 kids now, previous. Like there's 3 total, right? Shouldn't I be more tired? I'm older. I have more kids, right? And even when given the opportunity, when my husband's saying, go in the other room and go, I didn't want to. Because the only thing that changed was my mindset. I was like, no, 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 I want to be up. Another example, I had that interview a few days ago with Paris Hilton's friend, Chris
mhm.
and Jess. I was so
Yeah.
excited. I was like, okay. I could not sleep that night at all. But this was me laying there. Like usually if I can't sleep, that old story can sometimes get triggered of like I need to get 8 hours, like like
Yeah.
because I've had such a long history of not being able to sleep, that it's important to me.
Yeah.
However, I just laid there with the cheesiest, biggest freaking grin. Irfan like woke up scared in the middle and he was like, you're just laying there smiling. Like I said, I don't have the interview in the morning. He's like, go to sleep. So same thing. But
Uh-huh.
again, our emotions inform how everything else. Yes, there is some real stuff like, yes, if you're not sleeping for a certain amount of days, you start, to think it's unhealthy. Like that can be considered a form of torture, cruel
Yeah.
punishment. But
Yeah.
a lot of things are actually informed by our beliefs. Like when I'm hungry because I said I can't eat versus hungry when I'm fasting, it's a completely different experience because
Yeah.
I'm choosing to fast versus I'm hangry. So I think that our mindsets inform it. I chose to stay up with Alina. It was an option, right? Like it's like I'm like choosing
Yeah.
into it, even though it's the same situation. She just wouldn't sleep through the night. And she still doesn't. She's like not, she's a very light sleeper. She doesn't require a lot of sleep. My middle one still requires, the projector requires a lot more sleep than the other two kids. So I think that a lot of these things could also be narratives that we tell ourselves and then we make ourselves tired because we're supposed to be tired when we're new moms.
Yeah. Oh, this is so good. I'm gonna watch the replay and just like pep talk it for myself. Like tomorrow morning or tonight before I go to sleep. That's such useful advice, Mina, honestly. And like it's so interesting because when I first pulled you up on YouTube, before I even knew you, like you had this bed in your background, that was your thing. And you're like, I take naps because I get tired, I don't have time. And then you got back from this trip and you just went all in on your business. You're like, as a projector, I decide my beliefs about energy. They don't decide it for me. And you really had this new vibe about you. And there's a quote I want to read. So you gave me a sneak peek to your Lady Balls book, which, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to read through this. There's a quote that I found that I want to share because I think it's so good. So it's about power. And this power that you found that you've stepped into that, all of us who have followed your work throughout the past several years have witnessed you as well stepping into this, and it's contagious. You say adding savage power to your loving embodiment makes you stronger and more loving in your embodiment. We need more kind-hearted, loving people in positions of power. Being a source of inspiration, power, and abundance on this planet is not only your birthright, but also all of ours to witness through your embodiment. We need loving, kind-hearted people to be equally, if not more, scary and dangerous to predators as predators are to us and our children. I'm going to read that last part again. We need loving, kind-hearted people to be equally, if not more, scary and dangerous to predators as predators are to us and our children. Oof, I sense mama energy in that. Like, talk about that trembling power. Can you speak to this importance of being as a mother, as a wife, as a part of a family unit, of tapping into, as you call it, savage power and how important that is?
Yes. Oh my goodness. So as part of my training at university, I spent a year studying predators. And when I say predators, I mean like the worst of the worst. Like these are convicted like serial killers and like like really people that cannot be reformed. Some of these people were waiting to be executed, like really evil people.
Mhm.
And what there were some journalists and researchers that had the opportunity to talk to some of these people and learn from them. And so there were tapes available, made available to me in my classes, to all the students, and we were watching these tapes of these convicted um, serial killers and just evil people. And video after video, interview after interview, I kept noticing the same thing coming up, Amanda, and it was bone chilling to me, not just as a human being watching this content, but also as a victim of childhood sexual trauma. You know this, and I don't know if your audience does, but I have sexual abuse in my past. When my first memory as a child is of being sexually molested, and there's also a rape in my past. So I was watching this from sort of a not only as a student, but also like learning of why people do bad things. And they, when asked how did they choose their victims, all of them said the same thing. They said that they choose them based on weaknesses of the family unit. Like they can smell and see trauma on the person. This is the thing that was bone chilling for me. that if there is a man who's a predator watching a group of women, let's say that they are hanging out outside of a college university, by the way that a woman is walking to her car, they can smell, just like a wolf in the wild can smell its prey, they can smell if that woman comes from a good, sound, grounded family, or if she has an absent father, or if she has some sort of a trauma in her background, and that's the person that they choose. Like I have chills even telling you about that now to this day. This was 20 years ago that I watched these videos. And as I was watching that, I couldn't help but notice that my dad was just so disempowered by my mom all the time. Like he was so, I've never shared this, Amanda, but, and I'm going to try to share it without getting emotional. I'm more emotional for my dad. I hope that what I think isn't true. But my dad once walked on a man sexually molested me and walked past. I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt that he didn't notice. But it breaks my heart to think that maybe he did notice, but thought that he did not have any chance against this guy in our own home, who my parents had bought into our home.
Wow.
So as I was watching this as a 21-year-old, I kept thinking, oh my God, if my dad was big and brave and strong, then I wouldn't have gone through those bad things. I wouldn't have trauma in my field. I wouldn't have been a target.
Mhm.
And as of course I grew and got older and learned and started getting more embodied in my own inner work, I realized, first of all, I when I had children, I lived in fear. Because I was sexually abused, it was like I couldn't trust anyone around my kids. I was
Mhm.
always on hyper alert that something bad was going to happen to my kids. But then I remembered those videos and I'm like, hold on. My husband and I are providing a very safe
Yeah.
containment for my kids. They're safe. They are not, my kids are not from a broken family. They're from a very safe family with a very strong provider. And I'm like, oh my God, moms and dads need to be dangerous.
Mm.
Moms and dads need to be dangerous.
Yeah.
When they smell our children's energy, predators should run. In fact, our children's energy should be so strong that they should be infecting their friends whose maybe their energy wasn't strong. Maybe their friend had trauma. No, our kids' smell should infect even they should like let our kids' friends let go. They would say, no, 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 stay away from this entire crowd. There's some strong kind of energy I'm sensing from here. Pick another target and hopefully even run and not choose a target. So we want to create an environment where the providers and the protectors are outnumbering the predators as we always have. But what's happened now is we're now breeding this new generation of people pleasers and nice people.
Mm.
And so the kind-hearted, good-souled, brilliant creatives, good parents are like scared and don't speak up and they're emasculated and toxic masculine, all the stuff. And the predators are like, okay, like all this prey, I'm not smelling anything strong in their field. Okay, which one? I've got a whole buffet over here. So what I'm trying to do is awaken that savage energy because when evil people are already savage, they have never grown out of it. It's just the way that they're using it for evil. What we need to do is remind the kind-hearted, good people that you need to be wearing a very strong energy in your field. That's the energy that needs to be in your children. Like people should skip your house. Basically, what I'm saying is they should not only skip your house, they should be so scared of your field that they should skip your neighbor's house. And if everyone did that, think of the field that we would create.
This is so good. Mina, I just love you. Oh my gosh. And like your ability to be in your heart and to share your heart is like, and your experience, it's just such a gift. So we're holding you in so much love as you do this. And you have so much love coming to you in the chat and hearts. And like, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for speaking this out loud, because to combine the words like this loving, kind-hearted, gentle archetype with dangerous and scary, it's something new. It's like a new energy and it's a fresh energy and I feel it. And in it, I feel power. And I also feel the power of the family structure and how important that is for all who are involved, especially the children. and how holding that, and maybe that's where like sacrifice comes in too, because it's like that holds precedence in many ways. I mean, it's a dance, right? Because you pour into you, and then from pouring into you, you pour into the family, but like the power of the family, the power of being in community, the power of being in a relationship, and how that holds protection around all members involved, and having consciousness and fierceness is really, really important. And I do want to, I mean, I'm looking, gosh, it's like been an hour already. Mina has agreed to stay past an hour if you all have questions. So go ahead and type your questions. If you have questions you want to ask Mina, and she's generously agreed to stay. I feel like I could talk to you for 3 hours, but that's our projector energy with each other. But do you want to speak while questions are coming in about your book, Lady Balls, and what it's going to offer? I mean, I sense like already I'm like, let's all buy this book and learn how to be dangerous and kind. But do you want to describe what's in it?
Yeah, so I downloaded this book while I was at my St. Thomas intensive. I was in a place of like people were asking me for another book and I was like, "No, I'm not writing a book." I would get annoyed when people would talk about me writing a book. And then I was sitting in St. Thomas on the beach and the book just came and the name came clearly, Lady Balls, right? Like I knew it. And it made complete sense because ovaries are lady balls. And yeah, so that's the official term for like lady balls is ovaries, right? And there were a few people getting upset at the name when I announced it on my YouTube channel. Most people loved it. 99.9% of people following me loved it. A few people were like, why are you borrowing the word balls from men? I'm actually not. Lady balls actually comes before balls. Like if you understand, and you know this, Amanda, the balls actually come for males come later on.
Mhm.
Every single baby in the womb it starts off female and then later develops into male. So the lady balls actually come way before. Our power is just mysterious. It's more hidden. And I use that as a metaphor in the book. In the back of the book, I talk about how that the masculine display of power, considered their balls, are outside of the body, always as a constant reminder for them. But
Mm.
ours are hidden. They're so hidden that most people didn't know that women have lady balls. We do,
Oh my
ovaries.
gosh.
Yeah,
I
they're that
love
hidden
it.
that we can't even freaking see it, right? So, but remember that your power isn't on the outside, your power is on the
Uh,
inside, right?
yeah.
It's mysterious, it's hidden, it's dark. And so the book is geared towards kind-hearted people who have fallen into this trap of like turn the other cheek and people pleasing and again that goes back to sacrifice too because you have to sacrifice your ego. Like
Yeah.
people pleasing comes from a place of like I want to get validation from you, I want to get something. Like I have to put that aside to show up in my authentic power and not care about getting validation and show up authentically, and that creates a very powerful field around me and my family and then for my whole neighborhood, right? Like strong neighborhoods are formed by strong families, strong
Yeah.
family units, and then strong family units are created from strong couples, and strong couples are created by two strong people,
Mhm.
coming together. So this book is geared towards awakening that savage power in kind-hearted people. The evil people don't need it; they already have it.
Mhm.
Okay, they can't be reformed anyways, like the category that I'm talking about, but you need to awaken that long last divine power that we've forgotten about. It's been conditioned out of us.
I'm like in love with the title. I had no idea it was about ovaries. That is just the best. That's so good. Okay. How do you buy it? Someone's asking. When's it
It
going to be
released
available?
so it releases on 11/11. So it's not we're not doing pre-orders. So 11/11, all you have to do is go on Amazon and search for my name, Mina Irfan. Like midnight 11/11 in whatever country you're at. Like just go and search for it. Right now you can find my Contained is in Love book, so that one is
Mhm.
available, but that one, the new one is coming on 11/11, 2023.
Beautiful. Okay, we have a question. And thank you for this. Oh, sorry, you guys. My computer just switched. 1 second. Okay, this is the question though, so you can still hear me.
Mhm.
What's the best way to support your husband?
By letting him provide and protect.
Mm,
and seeing him as capable and not stepping in for him.
hmm.
I would say those are probably the most powerful.
I love
I
that.
think modern day women often can't see people as capable and step in and start helping, and then that clicks the conserve energy switch in men. That's a whole other topic.
I love that. Okay, here's one. And you can see and hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
And Amanda, you're keeping time for me, right? I have that other interview after this, but I can go until like 3:30.
Yep, yep. We're at
Okay.
3:10 right now.
Okay.
This is a deep one. Okay. What advice would Mina give to those of us women who have had miscarriages and abortions, as well as traumatic childhoods and sexual trauma? How do we fully heal our womb space and embody the goddess? I'm just
Mm.
letting that soak in. Like, how do we heal our womb space amidst trauma?
So I say that most people, I hope no one's going to take this the wrong way because sometimes, like, I come from a lot of trauma. So understand this when I say this because sometimes people can like twist my words and take it the wrong way. But there's a lot of people walking around on the planet that have never had trauma and they don't know about their wombs, right? So they're just kind of like in this neutral space because we seem to think people who have trauma think that people who don't have trauma are just lucky because they never had trauma. But I know plenty of people that had zero trauma in their life and they don't even know the word womb, right? They're not walking around talking about ovarian power or being, savage or awakening any goddess power. They're just kind of like living life in autopilot. So sometimes the gift that can come through trauma is that we become hyper aware of certain things that require our love and attention and our presence.
Mhm.
So I feel like having gone through trauma and then having healed through trauma, I'm in a way better position at this point to even know about these things than the average person who doesn't even know that they're supposed to choose the right partner and be in polarity. Like they're just on autopilot. So you have this gift of hyper awareness that there
Mm,
is a part of your body that's trying to communicate with you because it's been hurt. And so what would you do when your child comes to you with a boo-boo? Like, do you scold them? Do you tell them to walk it off? Like, do you love them? Do you hug them? Do you be with them? Do you encourage them? That's how inner work starts with that loving mamta presence
mm,
guided towards our own self. And so that's the first step is realizing that something happened and something has awakened and I have now this awareness that something needs healing. It's communication, right? Like all pain is just communication. So I think I feel like I remember having this conversation with a friend years ago. Oh my God, this is even before YouTube. We were talking about another friend who just used to get really overwhelmed over the littlest situations, and we were like, babe, like this is not a big deal. Like, like she would blow things out of proportion. And she had absolutely zero trauma in her life. And me and my other friend had a lot of trauma in our lives. And her excuse was that I've always lived a very sheltered life. So, like, the littlest things can throw me off. And so, my friend and I were talking and saying, oh my God, like, I feel like our trauma has made us so resilient that those kind of things that she gets really worried over, it doesn't even register in our brain because we've been like there's bigger stuff to feel and deal
right.
with. So
Yeah.
in that moment we were basically having like a pity party for her. We were like, poor her, like thank God we weren't sheltered and like and life must be so hard. So in that moment we felt like we would rather choose the lives that we had because we can now function and be resilient human beings. So I think sometimes people can look at themselves as like really broken when they have this trauma, but
Yeah.
actually I think it gives you this really unique ability and gift in life that other people are asleep to.
Yeah. Yeah. Reframing the trauma or the wounding as actual power. And I think too, like reaching out for support in healing that can be really helpful. Like I know that to heal my trauma, I worked with a lot of practitioners, and that can be so helpful to be around another safe nervous system as you sink into memories in the body. and then shifting it to like, I'm broken, like Mina said, to actually, this is a source of power for me. And now I can connect and relate to others with a whole new bandwidth. Um, Amazing. Okay, we're
I
going to
mean,
take, oh, go ahead.
if you really think about it, you probably know at least one person that's not gone through anything. Are they listening to these kind of talks? Are they talking about their nervous system? Are they talking about their womb energy? So I look at it as God pinched me to wake me up, and ow, God, that hurt. But now I'm awake. I'm
Mm,
happy.
yeah, yeah. These hardships can add depth and bandwidth. Yeah, I never thought that way about trauma in my background. Okay, we have a question. What are some of your spiritual religious mentors that warmed you to religion and God? I know your journey a little bit with religion. I would love to expose myself to warm resources, which I love. Warm resources, like warm entryways into connecting into God and the divine.
My experience with God has been sort of a private inner journey. So I can't call to too many mentors. I would say the biggest one for me was Rhonda Bynes in from the Secret DVD. And I know some people seem to think that there's God and then there's the law of attraction. I actually found God through the law of attraction. Like I knew God existed, but I connected with God in a real, tangible, like everyday way through the law of attraction. So I would say Rhonda Bynes. Second one would be I have a lot of examples in my family, like my aunts and family members that no matter what happens, and these people have like really bad situations, but they just have faith all the time. So that's been really amazing to see that faith doesn't require situations to be well. In fact, real faith isn't even activated until you can't see it and can't believe it, and yet you do. So that's been huge for me. Um, but yeah, I would say real life examples all around me of people having faith when I'm like, okay, you like no one's gonna blame you if you didn't have faith right now. Like there's no right, but they have the faith. They hold that container. But the biggest one I would say is Rhonda Bynes. Her courage to bring out that book and DVD changed my
Mhm.
life.
Yeah, it's really an amazing book. And I want to add to this too, because I think a lot of people, when they think of God, it's like something out there in a way. But as feminine energy beings, like God is through the body. And this is a lot of the work that I offer of like being in the body. But literally, like if you close the door, if you feel safe, if you light a candle, if you close your eyes and if you breathe into your heart and you start to talk to God, God will come to you. It's like, it's not something that lives outside and just through a teacher and just through a book. Like, it's really in each of our hearts, and the access point is there. And there's so much, I guess, dogma about transcending the body to get to God. But I really believe that God lives through the experience of the body, and it's both, right? You can transcend the body, but like the aspect that's not spoken about as much, because we live in a society that's more about like God in the sky. Like it's in like she is in our hearts. And so just know that like if you it's there for you. Like you can look for the philosophy from others and all these things, but just close your eyes and like feel into your heart and you'll find that presence there. You will. Mina, this has been just a treat. Like, what a way to spend a Friday afternoon. Time with you is so, so precious. And thank you for your generosity with your time on my channel. Thank you for your generosity of what you have shared and your wisdom. Is there any last words you want to speak out loud?
Um, I would say trust yourself, learn to trust yourself. I think when things can happen in our past or even just conditioning, the biggest thing with the divine feminine is that we've lost trust in her, and through her, we've lost trust in ourselves. So trusting that we allow ourselves to be healed and we allow ourselves to be whole and we allow ourselves to be good mothers and good wives and good human beings. Like I think that allowing is like the biggest hurdle to it all. Because it always seems like when I do this or when that happens. But what if you just allowed yourself to be that now?
Hmm. Just decided.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, this reminds me, last thing, because I do know you have a time thing, but there's a book, Letting Go by Dr. David Hawkins. And I had this big aha moment. He says that desire, so the motion of desire signifies that there's distance between you and the thing. Like you can't have a desire with something without there being distance. So by the act of desiring, you're calling in more distance. If you just decide, if you have an intention, if you imagine that thing in beautiful light, if you hold love in your heart as you visualize it and just drop the desire, then it can come to you. And so you're saying, rather than desire to be an overflowing, luscious mother, wife, family member, person, just decide. Take away the desire. Right now in this moment, make the decision, see yourself, see the juicy fruit, see yourself with glowing skin, and just hold it in warmth. That's what I just heard you say.
I love that. Yes, that's it. The decision is the identity activation, right? Like you have become it.
Yes, you have become it. We're going to end with that because that was so good. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Please give this video a like and comment. Let us know what you think. Ask questions in the replay. I'll see you next week. Thank you so much.